quick check on L&T and focus this morning on the back of the Schneider deal, and it's a 14,000 crore deal that's come in for L&T. We in fact have spoken with the management. It's talked about, of course, Avance talked about really the deal details, how they're planning to use the sale proceeds as well in this exclusive conversation with Mr. Subrahmanyan, the CEO and MD. Let's go across and listen in to excerpts of that conversation.
Understand, can you walk us through the contours of this deal exactly? Because we understand that the deal was a complex M&A transaction that involved the slump sale of the domestic business and the share purchase transfer.
Yes, we call it the electrical and automation business. It had some of the widest range of low and medium voltage switchgears, electrical systems, industrial and building automation solutions, including energy management systems, metering solutions, and some projects. It's one of the annuity business of L&T, one of the product business of L&T, and looking at ourselves as a company, we were more focused on EPC construction projects into manufacturing and defense and fast-growing service area. And when you look into the future of the company, this exactly did not fit into where we wanted to go. And we thought we would go to keep the business in the best place that it could be kept, which was Schneider Electric. You're right, the challenge was to carve out a business of this scale with minimum disruption because it was not a separate company. It was part of the existing business of L&T. Much of the land, much of the factories, etc. were in common places. And therefore, to carve out a business from an existing business, it has to be a slump sale. And internationally, we had separate companies in various countries to do business there. And therefore, that had to be a share purchase transfer agreement. I think it's a win-win for the employees, business and partners and the shareholders. During this pandemic time, I think some of the people have worked extremely hard night and day to do this transaction, which involved multiple amounts of data inputs, transferring land, transferring assets, innovation from the client, so on and so forth. I think it's a great credit to both the people, all the people involved, including from Schneider Electric, that we have managed to do this.
Yes, indeed. Now, can you tell us more details on the final deal value adjusted for working capital and how much is going to flow into L&T?
It's more or less that 14,000 crores. Some small adjustments would be there. Of course, there is a tax to be paid and such. As you correctly said, there's an all-cash deal. Therefore, it comes into the money has already come into the company. So it helps us to create a stronger balance sheet, create a long-term value opportunities for our shareholders. It helps us to focus on our key business. And there will be some finer aspects of it. But as you correctly said, the entire value has been captured, and that's where we are.
Okay. I wanted to also understand about the manufacturing facilities that are being transferred to Schneider Electric domestically as well as overseas, and what is going to happen with respect to the transfer of the employees?
So the domestic business, where we had to transfer the land or transfer the lease and transfer the properties and so on and so forth, that has more or less been accomplished. Internationally, it was all registered companies. We had to transfer the companies. In certain cases, the competitive commission permissions from those countries' statutory bodies are required. Some of it has already been received. Some of it is work in progress, and that will be done shortly. And I think it's a work in progress. We have some time limits for that, and it should be done. Nearly about 5,000 employees have been transferred, and that means the entire business has been transferred. A few of them have been retained, but that is part of the agreement. And I think it's a win-win for the employees. I think it's a good house to go into. Schneider is the world's largest electrical and electrical voltage and automation company. They're present across the globe. It's a fantastic company. It's a huge R&D base. I guess they will look at India as a hub for better production, for more economical production, and they will take the products that the Schneider Electrical Automation now, that what it does in India, to its overseas bases too. So in my opinion, it's a great deal. It's a good deal. It's a win-win for both the companies. And I think one should look at it very positively, especially in this particular season.
Yes, indeed. Now, L&T over the last 5 years, in line with the strategy to focus on EPC and services, has exited several businesses. Tell us more about the growth plans and how you plan to, really scale up these three business verticals.
So predominantly we'll continue to be EPC projects, the made-to-order fabrication, manufacturing, and defense areas that we're in. And will concentrate more on the services area. And this is not a strategy which has been in place for 5 years. I think ever since we started our 5-year strategic plan, this kind of focus has come in. It is natural that when a company of this nature, which is nearly 82 years now, has had over the times got into many other businesses, which today we think is not part of our core. So we've been over the period trying to divest some of those businesses and retain that which we think is part of our core and trying to grow it. So as I said, this will be the core right now. We'll continue to grow these three broad sectors, and whatever we need to do to grow it and make it more profitable will be our endeavor, and we'll continue to do that.
Yes, indeed. So now, analysts are of the view that L&T continues to remain a very dominant player and can emerge stronger from the current cyclical pressures as well that you're seeing in the EPC business. How has the last few months been? Have you seen pressures now from the lockdown having eased?
Yeah, the pressures from the lockdown has certainly eased. The most critical thing was the first 3 months. We had a huge backlog of nearly 3,05,000 crores. But we could not move it because the lockdown happened in all the territories that we are present. That's India, Middle East, to some extent Africa and Far East. And therefore, much of the work could not progress. If at all we progressed, it was only in the services area. But even that got affected due to lockdown because the hospitality, travel, oil and gas, and few of the sectors across the globe got affected. But concentrating on EPC projects, which is bulk of the business, I think as soon as the lockdown got sort of lifted around May end, much of the labor and staff also had the pressure of going back to the families, going back to the villages and towns and feeling for themselves how the situation on the ground therein was. Just if you take a look at us, pre-pandemic, we had about 270,000 laborers on our rolls. At the end of May, it had come down to 70. Now, to give you a perspective, it has come back to about 210,000 laborers on our rolls. And most of the staff have got back to work. Most of our sites have started functioning. The amount of cement and steel that we purchase has started going up, if that's an indication of how we perform. So I think we have started moving up, and Q2 should be far better. And I guess by Q3, Q4, we should be back to where we are and get back into the momentum. So let's be positive about it. The pandemic came in. It has taught us a lesson which we didn't want to understand, but were forced to understand. And I hope the lessons got imbibed somewhere inside our head, and we take it forward to a manner in which we find a vaccine now and hopefully there's a solution next time it comes around, or we are better prepared. But let's be positive about things. I think everywhere you see green shoots of positivity. We see green shoots of necessary action being taken. There is a short supply of money within the system, especially in the government system where much of us depend for orders, etc. But I guess that was expected. And this will be overcome over a period of time. It can't be done immediately, but it will be done over a period of time. So we'll have to brace for some amount of a slowdown in the sense that things don't get back to normality immediately. But I guess that was expected. When things go down, it takes some time to climb up. But we see positivity, and I'm reasonably and confidently optimistic that the positive aspects will continue.
Okay, that sounds good that you're on that optimistic note. Mr. Subrahmanyan, will be looking at, divestment of the other business segments in line with that strategy over the next 6 to 12 months. Have talks been initiated?
Yes, we have gone into certain aspects of projects business from the point of view of overall development. We are in the process of divesting our further stake in L&T IDPL. We already come down to 51 from 100. And we'll go down further as we look into the future. We would like to divest L&T Hyderabad Metro and also Nabha Power Limited. But these are work in progresses. These are complicated infrastructure and power projects. At this present situation, if you try a direct deal, there would be write-offs, and we may have to take a hit on the P&L. That's not our intention. These are good projects making returns for us. So we are not in a hurry, but like the present deal, if you are able to find a good a good place to house these businesses, and we find value for the investments that we have done, we will do it. Otherwise, we'll continue to run it. But the idea is these were done, fantastic projects, great projects, run very efficiently, run world class. And if you find a good buyer, because operation and maintenance is not our cup of tea anymore, if you find a good buyer, we'll house it there. Yes, so that's the way we look at it, and that's the way we'll continue forward.
Right, so divestment very much underway for the other businesses. Now, given that Q1 did see early signs of order activity as well picking up, are you seeing more traction in your ordering activity? What is the update on your labor?
As I said, Amani, there is positivity. There are projects coming, and we are bidding for projects in our areas of business. The competition is also looking for projects, so we got to pick and choose, and one has to be careful in these times, because clients also tend to take advantages to put tough contract conditions and so on and so forth. The competition also tries to fill up its order backlog, and therefore one has to see how to go about it. We look at complex projects, complicated projects, process kind of projects which others find it difficult to do. Those are evident right now. We have bid for some of that, and we hope that the luck goes away in some of these. But having said that, with a heavy backlog of 3,05,000 crores, which should have come down by now to some extent, but it has not due to the pandemic. So the main focus is also to push on the sales and profitability thereon in that backlog. At the same time, look for opportunities to keep up the bucket and fill it up and keep moving forward. So it's action on all sides. So we started getting busy again. So we are attending office at 7:30, going home at 9 o'clock. So it looks good.
Oh, yes, indeed. Any signs of, things going back to normalcy? Now, I want to ask you on the macros. We did see the steepest contraction in our GDP growth in the April to June quarter. There's been stalled economic activity, a complete shutout of consumption, investment, job losses as well due to the lockdown. How have you looked at the GDP numbers?
I'm not an economist. I don't understand that. But, like most of the company sales and others came down, I do expect that when none of us contribute to the GDP, some amount of GDP has also come down. So it's not surprising when the company was under lockdown, and rightly for a purpose, because the pandemic, if it had hit it more severe, it would have been a disastrous consequence. We are a very populous and highly concentratedly populous country in many parts, and therefore the lockdown was an absolute necessity. And I think that helped us to save quite a bit of the situation as one sees it. Now, when you have a lockdown like the manner that we had, there was no much of economic activity. Consumption went down, activities did not take place, taxes were not paid, etc., because there was not much of activity. Now it's coming back. So I guess by Q2, Q3, you'll find the economy also rebounding in the manner that one feels it should. And we were in a positive momentum, and it got affected due to this, unfortunately so. But let's not look at one dip, what has happened over a period of time, and be positive that it will also go up, like I'm being positive as to see how our activities will go up within L&T. It will go up. Let's be positive about it. Yes.
So from the government standpoint, you think enough has been done? What more steps would you like to see?
No, to be fair to the government, I think huge initiatives have been taken. Moratorium and bank loans were introduced. A lot of money was pumped into the system. The loans were made available. Money was given to the discoms. Projects that need to be pushed were pushed. The easing of payment terms were done. Easing of bank guarantees and retentions were done. Many conciliation and irrational issues which are getting into dispute, I can tell you, all got solved during this period. Many claims have got settled. Arbitration, others which one would have thought would have got totally stopped, have taken place on Zoom and Teams, which was impossible to believe. And also on the social side, the direct benefit transfers, the MREGA scheme, which was done to assuage the population, the huge wheat and grain and rice transfer, which was done for feeding people. I think that the government has gone overboard to help and navigate the situation. The Honorable Prime Minister being on the TV and also meeting all of us a couple of times to assuage the situation. The RBI governor being very positive. I think overall the government has been overactive in this period, including the Honorable Finance Minister and the Commerce Minister, etc., being very often on the line. I I think they've done their bit, and it is now for us to pick it up from wherever they have pushed us to see to how to take it forward. Unfortunately, this China border tension has also created an extraordinary situation, and hopefully we find a solution, though it looks difficult at the moment. And that has created extra issues where funds are getting diverted from a point of view. But let's hope that things settle down, and let's see that it moves in the right direction over a period of time.